Okay, we'll continue with the class now. So here, the next type of the cement, that is extra rapid hardening cement. So in the previous part, we have studied only about this rapid hardening cement, right? So for everyone, the slide and voice is audible and visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay, the name only indicates extra rapid hardening cement. So now only this is rapid hardening cement, whatever we have studied, and it has huge advantage of early strength, right? Early strength, as well as it is going to set at the earlier time. Okay. And now one more cement, it has been added with some extra word, that is extra rapid hardening cement. So what is this extra rapid hardening cement? And which is obtained by intergrinding of calcium chloride CaCl2 with rapid hardening Portland cement. So here you can consider whatever we have discussed in the previous type, that is this rapid hardening cement. So for this rapid hardening cement, they are going to add this additional material, that is calcium chloride CaCl2, right? So the CaCl2 they are going to add with this rapid hardening cement, and it forms extra rapid hardening cement. Okay. So the normal addition of calcium chloride, it should not be exceeded 2% by the weight of rapid hardening cement. Means for 1000 grams only you can use 20 grams of this calcium chloride. Clear? So the thing is like, what is extra rapid hardening cement? Addition of calcium chloride to the rapid hardening cement, only we can call it as extra rapid hardening cement. So that addition of this calcium chloride, it should not be exceeds 2%. Means only it should use 2%, I mean less than the 2% by the weight of rapid hardening cement. So why it is necessary? The thing, it is necessary that the concrete made by using the extra rapid hardening cement, it should be transported, placed and compacted and finished within the 20 minutes. The thing is like, this extra word it gives with the still more, that concrete or cement which will get hardened at the earlier time. Means as the Indian Standard Code Book says, that cement whatever you are going to use, that setting time, it should not be less than 30 minutes. Clear? As that setting time of the cement, that is initial setting time of the cement, it should not be less than 30 minutes. But in some cases we have to use the cement which should sets early, I mean at the early time, because of various applications as we have seen in the previous part. So that time, because of the certain applications, we'll be considering some special type of the cement. And here the concrete which is made by using the extra rapid hardening cement, it should be transported, placed and compacted and finished within 20 minutes. So only in that case we can use this extra rapid hardening cement, because it is going to set within 20 minutes. So within that 20 minutes we need to cover up these all activities, like concrete should be mixed, concrete should be transported, placed and then compacted without any gaps between the concrete molecules, and then finishing in the sense leveling that particular surface to the concerned structural elements, right? So it should, these all aspects it should cover within 20 minutes. Yeah. And it is also necessary that this cement should not be stored for more than 1 month. The age of this extra rapid hardening cement, it is only less than 30 minutes. So once after the 30 days, it is not 30 minutes, after 30 days of the duration, which is going to loses its property. Means once if you have used that one in the construction, might be the setting time which may get changes than the given time. So this 20 minutes, it may reaches with 25 minutes, because it is going to lose its property because of the conditions, or it is exposed to the environment part. Means that age of this extra rapid hardening cement is less than 1 month. And here extra rapid hardening cements that accelerates the setting and hardening process. Means the usual cement and concrete, it takes around 40 to 50 minutes to get hardened. But once you use this extra rapid hardening cement, within 20 minutes that concrete will get hardened, and even it will get set in the sense that harden process only. Next, a large quantity of heat is evolved in a very short time after the placing. So once that extra rapid hardening cement reacts with the water, as it is going to set at the earlier time, and within that time itself, that concrete which is going to liberate huge amount of heat within that cement molecules. And the acceleration of setting, hardening, as well as the evaluation of this large quantity of the heat in the early period of the hydration, that makes cement very suitable for concreting in cold weather. Right, depends upon the various climatic regions. We can use this extra rapid hardening cement because during at the colder regions and all, I mean cold weather conditions, that evaluation of heat within the buildings, that makes the concrete much strengther compared to the conventional one. And here the strength of the extra rapid hardening cement is about 25% higher than that of the rapid hardening cement. Here whatever, the first only the rapid hardening cement which is going to get the high early strength. Clear? But when you have used this extra rapid hardening cement, so which is going to give around 25% additional strength by using this. Yeah, 25% higher than that of the rapid hardening cement at 1 or 2 days, and 10 to 20% higher at 7 days. Yeah. So here 25% when it will give after 1 or 2 days. There it is. After 1 or 2 days, which is going to give around 25% additional strength, but the similar thing, 10 to 20%, it gives after 7 days. Means only at the initial period of time, which is going to give higher strength. I mean, first 2 days, which is going to give 25% extra, and after the 7 to 10 days, which is going to give 10 to 20% extra. And once it reaches 90 days, here they have given once it reaches 90 days, the strength of ordinary Portland cement as well as this extra rapid hardening cement strength, which will be similar. Okay. Next type, that is sulfate resisting cement. So here ordinary Portland cement which is susceptible to the attack of sulfates. That is sulfates are nothing but SO3. Okay. So this SO3 it may reacts with the water and it forms the sulfate attack. So in particular to the action of magnesium sulfate and MgSO4, right? And here the how that sulfate attack will get causes. The sulfates that reacts with both with the free calcium hydroxide, that is SO3, that reacts with free calcium hydroxide. Free calcium hydroxide in the sense along with the CSH gel, whatever it will comes and which is not at all useful. That's CaOH twice, calcium hydroxide, right? After the flowchart at the end, you have seen this product, right? So when sulfates reacts with this calcium hydroxide and to form calcium sulfate, right? And with hydrate of calcium aluminate and to form the calcium sulfoaluminate. It's nothing but what? The sulfates reacts with the calcium hydroxide, right? And it forms calcium sulfate. And again with the hydration of calcium aluminate, that is with the C3, tricalcium aluminate. Again that reacts with this calcium sulfate and it forms calcium sulfoaluminate. Yeah, it's just like the chemical reactions, and just you understand the basic concepts in words. No need to go with the reaction part. And here the volume of which is approximately 227% of the volume of original aluminates. So which is going to increase the aluminates content in the cement, that is with 227% higher than the original aluminates. Okay, and here their expansion within the framework of hardened cement paste that results in cracks. So here whatever this calcium sulfo aluminate term is there, when that compound, if it exceeds in the cement part, and that results in the hardened cement paste, and that makes the cracks and subsequent disruption in the structural element, and this is known as the sulfate attack. So sulfate attack, which is greatly accelerated if accompanied by the alternate wetting and drying process. So alternative wetting and drying process means, you can see the morning time in the summer season it will be too hot, and suddenly the rain comes, and again the next day morning it will be too hot. So it's like what, the alternative drying and wetting process. So because of this also, when the calcium hydroxide which is present in the cement, that reacts with the water, and again the sulfates which are present in the cement content, that forms the sulfate attack here. And the sulfate attack is greatly accelerated if the accompanied by alternative wetting and drying process. So once the sudden rain and sudden sun comes, that time the chances of this sulfate attack, I mean the sulfate attacks may takes place at the earlier time. So to resist this, we are using certain cements, that only we can call it as sulfate resisting system, sorry, cement. And to remedy the sulfate attack, means to overcome this sulfate attack, the use of cement with low C3A content. So basically tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate togetherly it forms around 70%, right? So the next compound of Box compound, that is C3A. So this one we need to reduce with a low percentage. Then we can resist this sulfate attack. Clear? That cement with a low C3A and comparatively low C4AF content is known as sulfate resisting cement. So the cement which consisting of low C3A as well as low C4AF. So both these percentage it should be less in that cement, then we can call the sulfate resisting cement. So if the people ask you to define the sulfate resisting cement, you can say that the percentage of the box compound, especially in C3A and C4AF, it should be lesser in its percentage. So that type of cement we can call it as sulfate resisting cement. And in other words, this cement has a high silicate content, and the specifications generally limits the C3A content to 5%. So once C4, C3S as well as C3, C3S and C2S togetherly it forms 70%, right? And remaining 30% it's with the C3A as well as C4AF. But now the C3A has to restrict only for, yes, somebody wants to convey something. If you're having any doubts, please you can ask. Nothing? Can I go ahead? Somebody can answer, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So now the remaining percentage of 30%, that is belongs with C3A as well as C4AF, right? So in this 30%, C3A content it should be restrict only with less than 5%. So then only we can consider this one as sulfate resisting cement. So on one more side you can see that is Fe2O3 that may be added to the mix, that means the C4AF content which increases the expenses of C3A, and as per the IS codes limits, the total content of C4AF and C3A as follows. So here you can see the C3A content and C4AF content togetherly it should not be less than 25% in sulfate resisting cement. So in many of its physical properties, sulfate resisting cement, which is similar to the ordinary Portland cement. Only the thing is the percentage of this C3A as well as C4AF, which should be less compared to the ordinary Portland cement. Because these are the two elements, especially C3A, that is tricalcium aluminates. So when this aluminates reacts with the sulfate content, it forms with sulfate attack, right? So to overcome this, we need to reduce this content itself, right? So that sulfate attack may get reduced during the construction part. And here the use of sulfate resisting cement, which is recommended under the following conditions. I mean, where exactly you need to use this sulfate resisting cement. So concrete to be used in marine conditions. So basically you can see that it is with a high content of salt, as well as continuously the water formation will get reacts with the cement, like the bridges, dams, and all. So in that cases, the concrete to be used in marine conditions, there the water which will reacts with the compounds like C3A, C2A, and all. So there the chances of alternative wet and dry process may takes place because of high tidal variations. In that cases, we can use this sulfate resisting cement. So the reaction of water with the cement, which is going to be reduced there, and concrete to be used in foundation and basement where the soil is infested with sulfates. It's like where you can see the sulfate content is more in the soil sample. So in the soil, wherever you are going to use, on top of this soil, whatever you are going to construct the building or structures by using the concrete. So if this soil which is rich in sulfate content, so then that time we can use this sulfate resisting cement. Okay, and then concrete used for the fabrication of pipes, and which are likely to be buried in marshy region or sulfate bearing soils. So when we have using the fabrications, I mean, which are purely rich in Fe content, I mean the iron content. So that time also the chances of the sulfate attacks may takes place. So in the marshy region, in the sense marshy in the sense the loose sand, right? In the loose sand or loose fine aggregate particles, that time also we can use this sulfate resisting cement. And here concrete to be used in the construction of sewage treatment works. So sewage treatment works means whatever the wastewater which will get generated from domestic purpose or industrial purpose, so they have certain chambers to pass that sewage water, right? So that time also that sewage water which may reacts with the concrete pipes and all, right? So to overcome that, they are going to use this sulfate resisting cement during at the sewage treatment works. And along with that, so many other chemicals also will be present in there. So the chances of sulfate attacks may takes place at the earlier time, because the water or sewage water, whatever which is going to liberated or extracted, which is purely from industries as well as the domestic wastewaters. So leave about the domestic wastewater, the water which comes from the industries, it is with a chemically treated one, right? So many other chemicals which are formed, which are already present in that wastewater. So that may leads in the addition of this sulfate resisting, I mean sulfate attack formation within the building. Next one is Portland slag cement. So here Portland slag cement means the slag refers to the term that is ash. Ash is like what you can call. So once if it is buried with any product, so whatever the product which will get generated, so that is called as slag. So now the Portland slag cement. So this slag which will get generated from various industries in the powder form. In the foundry side also you can see, and even in the what that I given one example, nuclear power point, right? So nuclear power plant, in that case, whatever the waste which will get generated, that is considered as fly ash. And similarly, blast furnace slag also, which will get generated. So here Portland slag cement, that is obtained by mixing the Portland cement clinker. I mean, as usual, whatever it will get generate. And along with this, we are going to add the gypsum and then granulated blast furnace slag. So which is exhibited or extracted from various industries. But we need to consider this one with various proportions. So now this Portland cement, which will be similar in its original nature. And then along with this, we are going to add gypsum, and with this two material, they are going to add one more material, that is granulated blast furnace slag. So that too in suitable proportions. And then they will send that one for grinding or to the ball mill to get through the proper proportions. Next point, the resultant product is a cement which has a physical property similar to those of ordinary Portland cement. So in addition with this, it has low heat of hydration and it is relatively better resistance to chloride attack. So here you have studied in the previous part, that is sulfate attack. Even with respect to that sulfate attack, you will get one more formation, that is chloride attack. So here I will explain you what is chloride attack in depth in the upcoming part. Just to overcome this chloride attack, we can use this Portland slag cement, and the water containing excessive amount of sulfates or the more alkali metals or alumina and even the iron content as well. So therefore, this can be used for the marine works with some advantages. So next, that is quick setting time. So do not get confused with quick setting cement as well as rapid hardening cement. So both are different. So quick setting time, which is only related with respect to time, I mean the setting time. But that one more cement, that is rapid hardening cement, that gives with respect to the setting time as well as it is going to get the early strength. And this cement name, as name only indicates, that it sets very early, means it is going to set less than 30 minutes. Yeah. And the early strength property is brought out by the reducing the gypsum content at the time of clinker grinding. So how you are going to manufacture this quick setting cement? Basically, in the normal or conventional procedure of the manufacturing cement, what we'll do, we'll take all the ingredients, we'll mix, we'll add the water, we'll send that one to the rotary kiln, and then we'll get in the form of clinker. So after getting the clinker, as per the standard procedure, we are going to add around 2 to 3% of gypsum. Correct? So here, the main reason to add this gypsum is to increase the setting time. But now it has to set at the earlier time, in the sense that content we have to reduce. Means reducing of gypsum percentage in the cement, that stands with this quick setting cement. Okay. The use of quick setting cement in much conditions, that reduces the pumping time and makes it economical. Means pumping and all for high rise buildings, we need to supply this concrete. So at that time, it will be much helpful. And quick setting cement, it may also find its use in some typical grouting operations. So grouting operations in the sense, somewhere we need to fill up the gaps in the structural elements, especially at the part of joints and all. So that time, during this grouting operations and all, this quick setting time will be useful. So next, super sulfated cement. I think this one is last we'll discuss, and remaining we'll discuss in the further class. Or now we'll wind up. What we need to do, we'll complete this one and we'll wind up. Can somebody please?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So super sulfated cement. This is the next type of cement that stands with Indian codes IS 6909 1990. Okay. So here super sulfated cement, which is manufactured by grinding together a mixture of 80 to 85% of granulated slag. You can see here the super sulfated in supersulfated cement, the major part which is carried by this granulated slag means whatever the product which is exhibited or extracted from the industries. So that waste product which is going to take the maximum percentage of 80 to 85%, and then 10 to 15% of burnt gypsum. So here basically the normal gypsum is used in the manufacturing process, but here in supersulfated cement they are going to use the burnt gypsum and only 5% of Portland cement, right? So only 5% of Portland cement they are going to use, and along with this Portland cement 10 to 15% of gypsum, and then major material is, I mean the raw material is 80 to 85% of granulated slag, right? So then it forms supersulfated cement, and here the product is ground finer than that of the Portland cement. Means here whatever the normal Portland cement surface area is there, comparatively this normal Portland cement, that is OPC, what we can call the surface area which is higher than that of this OPC. In this supersulfated cement, the surface area or the ground finer than that of the Portland cement, which will be much lesser than that of OPC. So specific surface must not be less than 4000 centimeters square per gram. So this is the surface area of that cement. When you have considered per gram of the cement, that surface area, it should not be less than 4000 centimeters square. And here this particular cement is rather more sensitive to deterioration during the storage than that of the Portland cement. But here the supersulfated cement has a low heat of hydration, because here the content of C3S and C2S is bit less, because we are going to use only 5% of Portland cement here. So when the 5% in the sense, within this 5%, that C3S content will be, which is only belongs to this 5%. Remaining thing and all, which is with the granulated slag itself, right? So here the heat of hydration, which is going to take place very less, okay, only about 40 to 45 calories per gram for the 7 days, as well as 45 to 50 for 28 days. And this cement has high sulfate resistance, means whatever the sulfate attacks which is going to take place, that one it can be reduced by using this cement. And basically these types of supersulfated cement is used in foundation where chemically aggressive conditions exist, means where the sulfate content is rich in some soil parts. So in that case, where we are having a higher proportion of the sulfates in the soil, so to overcome that we are going to use this supersulfated cement in the construction part. And here the supersulfated cement has more resistance than that of the Portland blast furnace slag cement, just to attack by seawater, and it is also used in the marine works. So basically where the water structures are there, like hydraulic structures, so during that construction period we can use this supersulfated cement. And other areas where supersulfated cement is recommended, that includes the fabrication of reinforced concrete pipes, and which are likely to be buried in sulfate bearing soils. This also, that is same as the previous type, that is sulfate resisting cement. And here the substitution of granulated slag, which is responsible for the better resistance to sulfate attack. So once you use this granulated slag, so which is purely used to overcome that sulfate attack. The main reason to use this supersulfated cement, which is purely rich in granulated slag here, so that is useful to resist that sulfate attack. And supersulfated cement, like high alumina cement, and that combines with more water on hydration process than in the Portland cement. So wet curing for not less than 3 days after the casting, which is much essential, as the premature drying out that results in an undesirable powdery surface layer, right? And here, when we use supersulfated cement, the water cement ratio is not less than 0.5, because Here we need to get the more workability, so we require large content of the water. This is much sufficient water cement ratio for usual concretes, but here when we have used this super sulfated cement, we should use the water cement ratio more than this 0.5, right? So a mix leaner than about 1 is to 6 is also not recommended. Means 1 is stands for cement and 6 is stands for sand or some other ingredients. So which is rich in this sand content, that is also not feasible for the construction when you are using this one part of super sulfated cement. So okay, we'll wind up for today's purpose. And next we'll start with low heat cement and then Portland post cement and other types of cements in the next class. Okay. So if you have not understood about any part, just you can convey that thing to me, or you can ask the questions. Yes, just you can place your name and USN in the chat box.